Welcome, everyone. Thanks for attending. We're very excited today to partner with Securematics on our Secure Store Retail Security Partner Sales Play. Just a little background on this. The idea for the sales play was really born out of some successes that Juniper has seen along with our partners in the retail space. And we knew we were doing some great things with the likes of 7-Eleven, even some of our commercial accounts, some of the smaller mid-market guys, and we were seeing a lot of success there. So we wanted to figure out how we could replicate and how we could move the needle on that across our commercial regions. And so we decided to put together the sales play, and if we can go to the next slide here, I think we have a comprehensive look at it. Troy is able to make the move or not, but basically it starts with the value proposition that we bring together. Oh, you can go one more or past the agenda. That we bring together to the marketplace, and I think everybody has heard of what's happening in the market from a business driver perspective. I mean, we've all been there with our Target cards or our Home Depot cards, right? So we know that security is super important to the retail market today. We also know that there's a huge number of retailers across the country, virtually an opportunity in every region. And we know that our Juniper security solution plays really well there. And so the value proposition is really around a cost-effective solution in that space that meets those demands. And of course, we have we got a little feedback there. We have the products and services, sales tools, technical resources to go with that. So Troy's going to go into the details of the solution and the value proposition, and then I'll come back with you to go over all of our tools and resources.
Great, thank you. Troy Herrera, Juniper Networks. Thanks, Karen, for that introduction. Absolutely, the retail is a huge market opportunity for Juniper and our partners. This is some analysis that Juniper did of the market segment. We looked at the D&B, the Hoover's data. There's 222 retailers with over 10,000 employees in North America. So this is just a small segment, if you will, of retail, the total retail market, but a significant segment. These are the largest retailers that we looked at across the U.S. Arkansas stands out with an anomaly being Walmart. Outside of Arkansas, Ohio is actually a large market for retail with sites headquartered there. But geographically across the U.S., there's good distribution, and you can see the density map provided of the largest retailers in North America. Using our models that have been developed with industry analysts for estimating TAM and the total available market in switching and firewall security, we estimate just with these 222 retailers roughly a 282 million annual market in Ethernet switching and a 36 million annual market in firewall and IPS. And we called out the top 5 states here. But you can see some of the largest retailers. And of course, the market is much larger than this as well. But we were looking at significant opportunities across the U.S. And this is what the analysis provided for us. If you can go to the next slide, we'll go into provide a little bit more overview of the segment here and what's really driving the need for security and network upgrades. And it's 2 things. I'd say one of the biggest things is the PCI compliance, credit card fraud, and the second thing is the user experience. Everybody is traditionally accessing the stores and content via the web, more specifically via their mobile devices, and you can see mobile retail sales growth here is estimated to be $752 billion by 2016. So significant growth. Of course, with that internet access, there's an increased need for security compliance for credit card transactions over the web, as well as in-store transactions. And it really doesn't matter if you're over the web or you're in-store. That data is being processed and needs to be on a secure PCI compliant network. Typically a virtualized or a virtually separate network from the network that is used to access the web and store features within or outside the store. That's part of PCI compliance is limiting the scope of credit card information and where it is shared. And I think we do that very well with our architecture. I'll give you kind of a high-level view of the architecture. But what we've also included here is some links to significant recent news regarding PCI compliance, as well as fraud and what have you in the marketplace. And this stuff is all generally publicly available, and you could go any given day, search Google or Twitter, and you'll find new news about hacks and credit card fraud. So it's not hard to convince someone that this is a real issue. I think all retailers are taking this very seriously. The costs are significant. The damage to reputation is significant. And that's why this segment, this market in particular, is very attractive, if you will, for Juniper, because we're fitting a need that it's very much needed in providing secure transactions and secure environments. And not only that, I'd say that the risk of fraud really presents a risk to consumers and business, and consumers will stay away from the stores if they don't feel safe that they can securely, buy products and services there. I don't know, you're probably not the only one who's had maybe somebody trying to use your credit card to buy a train ticket in India and have your credit card company call you about that. I've experienced that firsthand, so I'm sure we all can relate to this sort of issue. Why don't we go to the next slide? And as that's refreshing, we'll kind of go into the high-level architecture of Juniper, if you will. This oversimplifies our architecture, but I want to give you a high-level view. Our SRX firewalls scale from very small end to, of course, some of the largest data centers in the world, and you typically won't need that for a retail environment. You can see kind of a mid-range SRX, if you will, the SRX 1400 in this scenario, coupled with EX series switches to provide connectivity and then Wi-Fi access points. And the number of switches you need really depends upon the connection requirements within the retail stores as well as within the headquarters locations. But our base package, if you go to the next slide, we have kind of a bundle, what we're recommending, and per branch, looking at about $1,800. And what we did is we kind of just did a kind of a retail store scenario here, and then the corporate headquarters. And you'll really need to vary this for this specific use case. But you can see how these bundles look. For small store location, an SRX 220 with services and J-Care support, next-day service support, as well coupled with an EX 2200 to provide connectivity to the devices that are in that store. And we can go ahead and go to the next slide. We have a couple use cases, and I'll take you just high level through a couple of the use cases. 7-Eleven has been a customer for over a decade now. Zulily is not a company that I'm very familiar with. They brand themselves and cater to moms, if you will. But if you go to their website, what you'll find is their website pops very fast. You don't have to wait. That's Juniper network infrastructure in the data center there. And that's customer experience. That's one of the big things that retailers are looking for. They're looking to deliver, fast, immediate, great customer experience. And I can tell you Zulily is doing that with a Juniper network infrastructure. So it's all about performance. Juniper does have the fastest firewalls in the world. And so delivering that performance means, great customer experience. It's also intelligence, awareness, and one thing very unique in what Juniper has and provides is intelligence with our Spotlight Secure. And I'll go over Spotlight Secure in a little bit more detail, show you what that is and how that works with the switching and firewall infrastructure. It's also simplicity. If you ever used or you're familiar with Junos, very easy, intuitive software to use. It's modular in design, so that if a feature or functionality were to fail in software, you wouldn't have a cascading effect across the platform. The failure would be limited to that feature or functionality, which is really a carrier class design, but serves us very well in the business environment, and certainly in retail. where you don't want to go to a retailer's website and not have things working or be out of service, because that just means lost revenue to the retailer. Zero-touch provisioning and automation, very significant for retail. You can't afford as a retailer to send IT staff on site to do everything, and so as much as you can eliminate, reduce the on-site needs, that's very significant to your operational expenses and improving the bottom line. So very significant there. I just can't underestimate that, if you will. And then support. Juniper offers a very comprehensive, flexible portfolio, professional services, education programs, online education, or site-based education. So very flexible, and again, a comprehensive portfolio. We go to the next slide, and I'll take you through just a couple of the case studies. Zulily in particular, and Meyer, and just highlight those. And just waiting for the web page to refresh here. And Zulily, as I mentioned, they cater to moms. They have over 6,000 types of products and services, more than 1.1 billion in revenue in 2014. They needed a very flexible, agile campus and data center network that would scale for their businesses. Their business is growing. And so they deployed EX series switches, the 4000 series, actually 4550, the 4300, and the EX 4200, as well as an SRX 240, which Juniper would consider sort of a mid-range services gateway or firewall platform, as well as our wireless LAN solution and Juno Space. I'll just touch on the wireless LAN solution. You may or may not know Juniper divested itself of the wireless LAN products, but we have formed several partnerships with wireless LAN vendors that are prevalent in the market. And we see ourselves as somewhat agnostic. We do see wireless LAN as a very important technology, not just for retail, but for many industries. And we feel that we have a benefit in supporting a wide array of wireless LAN vendors in the marketplace and offering our customers choice. So I think you've already, if you looked at Juniper, you've probably seen some of our announcements previously in terms of our partnerships, and I'd say look for more to come in the future as we build out additional partnerships in that space. And the next case study, if we can kind of go forward, is Meyer. They're a retailer in the Midwest, and they deploy Juniper networks as well. They're, I guess, kind of a super center storage, if you will. They deployed us to ensure PCI compliance and HIPAA compliance as well. HIPAA you look at more for the pharmaceutical retail side of their business. But SRX gateways, M series, multi-service edge routers, and the EX series Ethernet switches were deployed, as well as our MAG series SSL VPN with network access control using our unified access control compliance. And I'll also point out the MAG series and UAC are now part of Pulse Secure, a company that's been divested of Juniper, but still integrate very well with Juniper to provide NAC and SSL, and that's the leading SSL platform in the market today. So if we can go ahead and go to the next slide, I'll take you through some of the architecture in a little bit more detail here. But first we'll kind of cover the customer concerns and challenges, so we can go forward. What we're seeing in the market today, 63% of retail IT executives list payment security as a top priority. So this is on their minds. It won't be a foreign topic by any means. 18 billion is the cost of credit card fraud in 2013, and that's only going up. You can see the increase is very significant in 2013 over 2012 in terms of the number of breaches, up 64%, and then the number of stolen identities up 564%, and that just continues to climb. And so that's cost, that's loss of revenue, damage to reputation, fines, also very career limiting, if you will, for executives. It's not uncommon to see after a breach, senior IT executives leaving the company with or without, their own choice. We can go to the next slide. And so our customers, these are quotes from our customers, and you can see some of their top priorities here. Keeping up with all these threats and all the new security products is impossible. And to be honest, it is. It's a big challenge. Most not uncommon to have a small team responsible for security across all of their locations, quite commonly nationwide we're talking, or significant regions. And business agility. I need to automate and accelerate security policy provisioning across thousands of sites. Again, common things, common trends that we're hearing. I think we addressed these very well. We can go ahead and go to the next slide. But security efficacy, operational efficiency, and business agility are top of mind. And these are things that Juniper does address very well. We address the security efficacy with advanced security services, integrated threat intelligence, Spotlight Secure specifically, and then fine-grained policy controls. And you want that fine-grained policy controls so you can segment your audience or your internal audience as well as your external audience. So segment customers that are coming onto your network because you're granting them access while they're in-store and enhancing that in-store experience or outside of the store as well. But then different levels of management should have different access and should be segmented, and you should be able to provide the appropriate access. And we do that with fine-grained policy controls. But you need to scale that, and you need to have operational efficiency. And we do that with centralized management across hundreds or even thousands of sites. Yet you can still have centralized management, zero-touch provisioning across all of those sites. So easy to scale up, business agility, and easy to scale out in both virtual and physical environments. And if you look at Juniper, we provide security, virtualized security for highly virtualized environments, as well as the physical network infrastructure security. And we can go to the next slide. So high-level architecture here, and as we go forward, I'll show you what this sort of looks like and call out a few things in the architecture here. Something you won't see in everybody's architecture is the Spotlight Secure Spotlight connector. It's centralized, but it connects to an external network. So if somebody from Kazakhstan is trying to access your network and you don't have employees or customers in Kazakhstan, you can recognize that with GeoIP and block that attack. So things like that, command and control, recognizing those requests, blocking those in real time, not after the fact, which is really what you have to do to ensure PCI compliance to protect your customer and your internal data. You can also set up custom feeds. The SRX series is not only just a traditional firewall, but it's a next generation firewall with application security. We have application identification 2.0, if you will, which recognizes different application signatures. And we can recognize applications within applications. So, for instance, Messenger within Facebook. So you can do fine-grained policies for those particular applications to allow or deny them. IPS, Unified Threat Management, and user identification, as well as application identification. And what you can see here is across the stores, you can replicate the architecture with the SRX and then switching to accommodate, the store size and the number of devices you need to connect, and have, again, centralized management within the network operations center, data center location, and then the larger firewalls and more connectivity at your headquarters or regional offices. And we can go forward to the next slide. They'll just show a different version of this same slide with a few other points kind of called out. Open model for Spotlight Secure. You can customize the type of data feeds that go into that, providing custom intelligence, as well as the intelligence that Juniper shares with third parties to identify IP addresses that are used by hackers. And so we share that information, and we receive that from third parties and share that with our customers. Very high capacity, high scalability. Often retailers won't need our highest scalability or our highest capacity, but we can certainly accommodate all size of retailers and all size or all amounts of user traffic, if you will, and adaptable fine-grained controls, policy management, logging, reporting. Logging and reporting is very important, and using Juniper's logging and reporting, we can highlight what people need to look at and identify what they don't need to look at. So really save time in terms of operations, raising to the forefront the issues of the severe threats, while not drawing attention to things that that really may be a waste of time, if you will. And we can go forward to the next slide. And so I'll just take you through the solution components as we go forward. The main component of our solution, if you will, is the SRX product family. As I mentioned, it's a security services platform or gateway, if you will, not just a firewall. From very low-end scalability to very high-end scalability. It is the same Junos operating system, so same code, same feature functionality across the entire platform. And what some of the retailers really benefit from is our carrier class functionality. 5 nines reliability, built for carriers but used by enterprise as well. I've already mentioned zero touch, but scalability up to 60 million concurrent user sessions. Now, as a retailer, you want a lot of concurrent sessions, but you likely won't get up to 60 million. But we have the scalability for retailers as their business grows, and that's a great benefit. That's investment protection for retail. And we can go forward to the next slide. I'll take you through some of the other capabilities in a little more detail. But here's a high-level view. The SRX is the foundation of our security services portfolio, offering firewall, management reporting, also analytics with automation. It has routing, network address translation. But on top of that, we have the next generation firewall services, some of which I've already mentioned, the application control and intrusion prevention. Also unified threat management, which is a license, and it runs on the SRX, so you don't need a separate platform. Again, when you kind of consolidate features and functionality, there's cost savings there. There's operational savings, but you can run antivirus, web, and content filtering, as well as anti-spam. And then security intelligence, which is Spotlight Secure to identify command and control requests, the geo-IP feeds, as well as custom internal feeds that organizations can send into their security environment and recognize in real time. And we can go forward here. So unified threat management, I touched on this, but antivirus, protection from top-tier antivirus partners. We have partners for antivirus that provide their code and runs on the SRX. Anti-spam, web filtering to block malicious URLs and prevent lost productivity, and then content filtering. We can go forward, and I'll take you, I think, into the application app secure kind of features. And so in the ingress, we're looking at what comes through. We check, you can check every session, or what you can do to improve your firewall performance is you can initially check the session when it's established, and then fast track, assuming that session is valid and there's not a threat. You can then fast track the data packets for that session. So, or you can check every session. And so you may want to do a combination of both depending upon the session, the user, the device, and the actual application that's being used. But that's one way to really enhance firewall performance while still ensuring security. And so we're looking, and we can track and report the application usage within the environment, provide the application firewall. We can also provide application quality of service because we can recognize those real-time applications. We can recognize, customers versus internal employees, and we can set quality of service standards based upon that information, and then SSL, proxy, and IPS. We can go forward here. So that's just more of a detailed look at application visibility control and what you can do with it. Spotlight Secure Threat Intelligence, just looking at this a little more closely. This is very unique to Juniper, and it is a differentiator. It's an additional service on top of our SRX and our security architecture. I would say not everybody uses this, but it's something that I would strongly recommend, and more retailers are looking at this as a new service, really to enhance their security with threat intelligence, external threat intelligence, if you will, that's then brought into their network and used in real time to update firewall rules. So it's dynamic, and it can be configured to function in real time using third-party data sources to really enhance your security posture. And it's something I think all retailers should really consider to really create a more robust security environment. We can go forward. So threat intelligence differentiators from Juniper, it is open. We can take external third-party feeds, custom feeds, although we do have our own internal feeds, and Juniper provides those from Juniper's cloud environment. It's very scalable from small site to largest sites in the world. And that's one thing that's very robust about Juniper's product offering. We are quite scalable. I think nobody will really match our scale from the low end all the way up to the high end. And then quite adaptable in configuring policy as well as responding in real time to threats as they emerge. And we can go forward. And here's just a graphic of the different platforms from the SRX 100 on the low end all the way up to the SRX 5000 series, with the SRX 5800 being our largest, the largest firewall in the world, all running a single train or version of Junos, the Juniper's operating system, across the entire platform there. And you can see how we scale from small branch to, again, the largest data centers in the world. And you can go forward. I did mention services and support as a unique offering, and I think a lot of our partners have their own offerings of services and support. So I would really see this as a complement to what your organization is able to offer. It may fill the gaps in some areas, but we've built up a quite robust team, if you will, based upon experience with many customers. And so we can do all phases, if you will, the plan, the build, and the operate. And typically we won't do all, but often we play a significant role in helping our customers to do one or more of these phases. And again, it just comes on experience, know-how. We can be a trusted advisor, and we can certainly complement what your organization provides in the areas of planning, building, and operating network infrastructure for your customers. And we can go forward. So here's our 1-minute security elevator pitch for retail. You can take this as it is, repurpose it, or certainly feel free to customize it to your own liking. But our 60-second pitch: Juniper builds high-performance, scalable security solutions that support PCI compliance and protect retail organizations. Our solutions are intelligent, open, and feature strong centralized policy management, available in virtual, appliance, and high-end chassis form factors. Juniper provides advanced threat protection for every use case, including retail locations, office sites, and e-commerce data center environments. And I'd say that's important to look at the sites, but also look at e-commerce. Most retailers are in both realms today, offering the brick and mortar and also offering, the e-commerce on the web. And although some organizations may be heavily shifted towards one or the other, there's typically, some amount of both for every retailer, and they need to look at how they do that and how they bring the two together and optimize that, yet keep it secure. And with the portfolio that we have, I think Juniper is very well placed to do that for many retailers. And there's a link there, and we will distribute this presentation, so the links that are available in the presentation will be available to you to click through and get to those data sources. And we can go forward to the next slide. So incentives and key resources. This is an area that Karen Ray knows very well. And so what I'm going to do is pass the presentation back to Karen to cover these resources. Thank you. And Karen, can you go ahead and pick it up here?
Yeah, thanks, Troy. Appreciate it. So, so you'll see what our value proposition here to the customers is definitely something that is familiar, hopefully, to those of you that know our security story. And so what you'll see in the promotions, incentives, tools, and resources is a mix of things specifically for retail, but then also our traditional security offering that you might be familiar with. So today, what we have in place is a next generation firewall promotion that actually ends at the end of this month. But look for more to come in July. Some new and exciting things. But there is a buy 3-year content security subscription, and then get SRX Branch 3 free for the next couple of weeks. And then, of course, hopefully most of you are familiar with our Juniper Partner Rewards program, where it's a individual seller based on ORS registration. Okay, and then next, let's take a look at our tools and resources. You want to go to the, I think you can skip here. There you go. So this is specifically our secure store resources. Oh, and you'll notice that these are all located on our Juniper Partner Center. Actually, sorry, what we put together here in this top quadrant is a secure store unsolicited proposal. So it's actually a physical, Word document proposal that you could take and customize for your customers. Everything in there from what you saw in terms of solution diagrams to the actual product SKUs to the value proposition that we've outlined here, and then of course the areas for you to customize and put in your own services or any special pricing actions or whatever you want to put into the proposal. We also have the Secure Store customer presentation, which is pretty much what you saw Troy present to you in the middle of the deck here. And you can see we left spaces for you to customize it and put your company name in and all that kind of stuff. We do actually also have a little bit more of an in-depth security presentation that, if depending on what kind of customer you're going into, that you can add on, or you can keep it at this high-level one that we have here. We've developed out a specific call guide. So if you've got some sales guys that are going to maybe do some cold calling, or even just maybe go back into your install base, it's a nice guide that gives them some kind of reasons to call, outlines those market drivers and the PCI pieces of the the business and all that, and then goes in, of course, to the solution pieces. We've also developed specific customer emails. We have those both in kind of OFT format, if it's just something that you want to give to your sales guys to leverage as a pre or post communication to that call out. And then, of course, we also have the JMC, which we'll go into. We have commissioned a Tech Target Retail Business Case White Paper that's about kind of the 5 top things that retail CIOs need to know. It's a really great piece. You can leverage that in your go-to-market activities. We're even working on doing a little kind of piece of the presentation that's around those top concerns. So we'll have that added to the presentation, the customer presentation, very shortly. And then just recently, we released the RAND study on the economics of defense against cyber threats. This one's not specifically around retail. Retail's a piece of it, but definitely a good piece for you to take a look at and leverage with your customers, because as we've been talking about, it all relates back to security and the cyber threat. And then on the next slide, we just go into more details, more specific to security. So we've put together We've got a lot of press out there. We've also got the security and switching products. We've got technical training support. So hopefully most of you are familiar with our Learning Academy. So we have both partner training and then also customer training. So if you want your customers to get Juno's certification, for example, you can leverage Fast Track. And then anybody who is a traditional ScreenOS partner and wants information on moving from ScreenOS to SRX, we've got a whole playbook and details on that. We've got the Juniper Marketing Concierge. So we talked a little bit about this at the beginning, but just a little update. Hopefully many of you have had a chance to check out the Juniper Marketing Concierge, but the concept behind it is to help you have a little virtual marketing department. So we have recently gone to a new provider for this, and what's happened now is you have more support in terms of a true concierge person to help you walk through how to put together a campaign. So they'll help you easily launch the campaign, help you measure it, help you align the campaigns to your sales goals. You can manage that leads through to nurture, which is great. So it's not like you're just sending out an email and hoping someone calls you back. You can continue to nurture those contacts. And then, of course, there's somebody live for you to talk to, which is always important when you're dealing with a little bit more of a complex tool. And then specifically, we put together a retail, on the next slide, a retail campaign, and it leverages that Tech Target paper that I talked about, several of the different security story elements that we talked about, and it has a landing page. You can see it here, and this is all about this 5 things to know about retail security. So it's a really good campaign, brand new, hot off the presses. So definitely take a look at that. We've got folks looking at it all across the globe, actually, and starting to execute on it and getting some really good feedback. And then this next slide just has a list of all of the Juniper Marketing Concierge campaigns you might be interested in, retail being one of them. But if you want to, you maybe start with retail and then continue to reach out to your prospects. Maybe you have a webinar or something, and you find out that your prospects are interested in security, and then others are interested in the private cloud, and maybe somebody specifically wants to know more about a different vertical like government or something. We have that as well for you. Okay, just goes into a little bit more details. You can see we are at no loss of resources for you. So I want to make sure you're aware of the security training and our virtual lab. We actually have just added a firewall migration tool. You'll see the last bullet here in that first area that helps automate migrating configurations from legacy firewalls, Juniper and competitive, to SRX. So we know we've heard feedback from our partners that this is really important, that you have some support in this, so that migration tool will help you do that. And then, of course, webinars and videos. We've got a great whiteboard pitch for you to leverage. That security point of view whiteboard video is getting some great feedback. Take a look at that, something that you could leverage in a customer meeting. And then, always check back with Learning Academy. We're now doing our partner webinars on a monthly basis. We're going to do another one specific to retail for all of our partners, probably in the late July timeframe, so be on the lookout for that. Okay, and then this is just a nice little summary of what we deliver together. And I would encourage you to, as you get into the retail market and you start to decide who you're going after, fill this out. You might have a specific financing offering. Of course, you can leverage Juniper's. Obviously, your service and support is going to change. You might add in another vendor that you're working with, your wireless provider. You might want a little bit more information in there on, the Pulse Secure. There's a lot of ways for you as a solution provider to enhance this value. And anything Juniper can do and SecureMatics can do to help you do that, please bring us in. And then finally, I just think we have some next steps from the SecureMatics team, right?
Yeah, before we get into the next steps, there are a few questions. So they're not directed to anybody in particular, but can one of you explain a little bit about the partnership with Aruba?
Sure. From an Aruba standpoint, I think at first, folks at Juniper were maybe a little bit caught off guard as well on that, our sales folks. But the bottom line is we're still in partnership with Aruba. We're still selling together. We are absolutely in deals all the time. From a CEO to CEO level, there's a commitment to work together from a business standpoint. So really, there shouldn't be any concern from your standpoint at all to go ahead and sell Juniper and Aruba together.
Yeah, absolutely, Karen. I mean, I was asked initially when the acquisition with Aruba happened, and what that means, and I think it really means our partnership as it's formed is intact. It's consistent. It doesn't change. We see them very relevant in the marketplace, and I think we complement, support each other very well.
Great. Next question. Can you comment on product updates, particularly around the branch SRX that are coming out soon?
Juniper has a policy of not commenting on future roadmap items, so I can't really. I can comment on what's out today and available, but we often we don't talk about roadmap features and functionalities, unfortunately.
Well, we will, of course, when things are closer. We do a partner. The partners learn before the customers, of course. So
yeah,
so be on the lookout. Like I said, your Juniper, the Learning Academy, we will absolutely be having announcements and webinars. We did that for the last, if you remember, our innovation announcements that we just had. We'll continue to do that. So SecureMatics is our partner in that. They're pre-briefed on everything to help make sure you are. So, but just know good things are coming.
Yeah, and Karen, I will add to that, to what Karen said. We don't want our partners to be caught off guard, and we know it's very important for you to know as a partner what's coming out and what we're doing before the customer or the market knows, so that you're not caught off guard as well. And so we do briefings and in advance of any kind of public announcement. So you can rest assured you will have the opportunity as a partner to know about future functionality before we communicate it broadly to the marketplace.
And the last thing I wanted to add to that, this is Brian Etchon. I'm the partner account manager for SecureMatics. Staying close with SecureMatics, especially if this revolves around an opportunity or a specific interest you may have, we can assemble some resources, be it field folks to help you with that deal, or as new products come closer to release, we can set up one-on-one sessions with you all to get you familiarized with it too. So stay close with SecureMatics.
And the last question is the retail campaign available now?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all available now. All the resources that I went through and outlined are available on Partner Center. If you go under Security and then Industries, it's there, or you can just follow the link that's in this presentation. So everything from the unsolicited proposal to the customer presentations and all that. And then, of course, the Juniper Marketing Concierge marketing campaign is available on JMC. And you have all the information there in the slides.
So that leaves us with next steps. If you want to learn more about the Secure Retail Play, reach out to your local SecureMatics rep. If you don't have one or you don't know who that is, just let me know, and I'll get you in touch with the right people. If you're ready to start generating interest in the retail sector, contact James Dunlap at Juniper. He will help you plan and launch your first secure retail campaign at no cost, and obviously SecureMatics is here to support in any way we can. If there's no other questions, we will end it here, and I appreciate everyone's attendance today, and have a great day. Thank you.